Right, hello everyone. Right, we're now live, and I'm joined by James Fielding and Nisha today, and we'll discuss the current state of British politics and the rise of the independent group in the last couple of days. So, has anyone got any starting thoughts about the recent events that's occurred?
Yeah, I can start. As you know, Cam, to you and three of my MPs who are relatively moderate have left, so it's kind of disheartening. But I guess that's the way it goes. I think it was kind of expected that Subri and Alan would
Mm.
leave. Um, I'm a bit disappointed that they have, but their reasoning is Brexit. But the I think if it's just Brexit, then why not just stay within the party and rebel anyway? And then after Brexit's solved, they thought it was necessary to leave. The other eight MPs that have left on the Labour side, obviously you can talk more about that, but that's been inevitable for the leader. Really, they've been disappointed with Corbyn has failed to tackle anti-Semitism, failed to tackle move forward on a people's vote, which ever going to back. So I can understand why they've left. I was just say, especially on my side, I can understand why Sue and Alan have left and have left because Brexit for them is the most important subject, and they've been rebellious when the process started. So yeah, not fair, but it's disappointing, and I would be surprised if more from both sides leave. Next couple of days and weeks.
Hmm. I think from the Conservative Party, those three MPs, some of them were being threatened by deselected. When Leave.eu was funding a campaign to deselect Anna Subin Bill Serhos had down. I think they thought they were good. Subi is already in a marginal seat and is efforts to deselect it. I think Subi, in her mind, had nothing to lose. Uh, I think just making a statement more than anything else. Um,
It's like I was just gonna say, well, the thing is as well, like they did this just before Prime Minister's question, so it got the main political talking point of the day. So yeah, it's been staged that this would happen for a while.
Mm.
They've also been through his Subaru's been threatened with deselection. Wollaston's been threatened with deselection, and so has Heidi Allen. So, like you said, really got nothing to lose really, which is sad because it's sad to see ex-UKIP members and ex-UKIP voters coming into the party and kind of doing what the left of the party did when Corbyn came in.
Mm.
Not a purge to say, but to push their agenda onto the party where moved away from that in the 80s and 90s, and it's sad to see that it's going back down that way. Because and Wilson are ish MPs, and there are far worse within the party. I mean, there's far within the party, so it is sad to see him go. But, but reasoning, but I just it's a bit premature, and I feel like they've given up too easy. Now, to make for what you think's right, regardless if it's pop or not, and you should try and persuade
Mm.
to just give up straight away because it's going tough is a bit weak in my opinion. Because I can understand why they have left, and I don't blame my party, especially has gone of the way to the right, and its membership is that's dangerous because there is probably ground for a centrish party because the Labour Party has gone to the left and the Conservative membership at least is going to the right, and especially when they elect a new leader, when May steps down, whenever that is,
Mm.
it's probably going to be a right conservative So there will be a ground for the and they will probably do quite well. I mean, I'm not expecting them to gain masses of seats, but they'll do well in certain areas. So, and it'll be to the detriment of the both Labour Party and the Conservative. It's going to be interesting anyway. I mean, this is just the start of it. A fully
Yeah.
recognised party yet, so how it goes, I guess. But yeah, I'm just wondering what any of you think.
What I've seen on this is there's a sense, particularly from the very hardcore Remainers, or particularly on Twitter, a lot of them are very actually quite satisfied with the Democrats in some issues, and you see some indications between them on some one or two polls, even though I'm quite skeptical at the moment of them. It suggests that the Lib Dem vote is actually more split than the Labour the Conservatives. And a lot of discussions on Twitter between them. Let's say the FBP, for example. They're quite actually split on this, which I find very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, at the same time, will there be a split between them when if the rumors are true, that Vince Cable is currently negotiating some sort of deal with them? I think that's up in the air at the moment. But yet, potentially it could make some ground. I think this thing, if it comes to party, it will pull something from every party, but I don't think it'll be as popular as people are trying to suggest it will be. I'll be very surprised if they have a high vote share than UKIP in the next election.
Yeah,
Or the Brexit party.
Yeah, well, also with people like you said, we've also got a major impact, especially if the Brexit party comes to fruition. How will that have an impact on voters? That'd be interesting to see. Jimbo says, "What's happened?" I'm totally ignorant of event.
Yeah, you're cutting out ever so often.
Yeah, I can't hear properly. What's happening? What were you saying?
I'll just give me 1 sec while I sort my mic.
All right. If you can read a comment on the side chat, Jimbo Jones. As I said, what happened today? I'm totally ignorant of events. Firstly, Anna Soubry, Harder Allen, and Sally Wollaston are split for the Conservatives, and they joined the independent group today. So that's the main news today.
There's one. Any better? Be quiet.
That's a lot better.
That's fine then.
Yeah, that's much better.
I was just gonna say, I think Jimbo was asking, what's happened today? So I've got the sneezes, and basically 3 boys have left the party. Jimbo, Heidi Allen, Anna Soubry, and Sarah Wollaston, basically saying that the lack of lead from Theresa May isn't good enough, and they pandered to the right-wing ERG EP far too much for their liking.
I mean, for a long time, I'm on this independence group. I've been mulling over before it's all happened if there'd be a split, and I thought there would be at one point or another. I think what's going to happen, we will see a remodeling of politics somewhere or another, a realignment. This you can see this in the demographic changes between them, who's likely to vote who. You can see this in this anger at the current state of affairs, angry Remainers at Brexit, Leavers angry at the deal. I think, and two main parties' positions on Brexit. So there will be some sort of realignment. Then again, it's like 100 years there. The same thing happened in the country. I mean, in the early 1920s, we saw Labour replace the Liberal Party. So maybe we're due for some lot of alignment, and hopefully for the better. And I think there's a sort of sense that from one side there's anger against the current movement in globalization. We see this with Brexit and the rise of Corbyn, predominantly those two movements. And then we see another type of international movement try to make a new sort of liberal Britain in sort of a modern context of internationalism within the European Union. Right, that they are going to be the two conflicting interests, and I think we see it. I think that this new group is going to be a massive advocate group for electoral reform, and when it's election, whoever who has the majority of the seats, which at this point, even though I think it will Labour, but it is completely up in the air, is going to be forced to have some sort of electoral reform. And I think if he's been sort of takes up some sort of policy, I'm not saying going to be successful. I'm going to say, I don't know, about 10 seats at maximum. And politics is more partisan and divided amongst parties. I think there'll be some sort of event, possibly some sort of coalition that will force some sort of electoral reform. That's the idea I'm starting to get now. But I'm not sure everyone's thoughts on that.
Well, with electoral reform, it is quite popular with the public, but the public are split on what sort of different voting system they want. I don't know, electoral reform, we've had this debate before. It would provide unstable coalitions. Yes, it would probably be fairer, and every vote would count, I guess, and that's probably important. But we would be sort of stuck in a stalemate where the people advocating for electoral reform probably would never get into power because, well, especially on the Labour left, you would just have the centrist club together to keep in power all the time. Because the left of the party, the left would never go into coalition with the centre ground, and of course wouldn't go into coalition with the right. Also, people's trust in politicians is already at an all-time low. You bring in electoral reform, they are going to they're going to be having to break promises to compromise. I'm sure the public won't be supportive of that as well. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not like fully against electoral reform, but I've yet to see a voting system that would work well in our country. But I'm all for more people getting involved and increasing turnout by all means. So if electoral reform is one way of doing that, then I'm not against it. With this independent group in particular, mind you, they're not a party yet, but I'm sure they will be come a few months' time. What I would say is they would have to provide popular policies. Now, electoral reform would be one, but that's not going to win you an election. Proposing electoral reform won't win you an election. You just have to look at the Liberal Democrats. Even at the height of power, they got about 20% of the vote. So, I mean, yes, they might do well, but they'll need to have popular policies that resonate with the people. Stopping Brexit might be one. Electoral reform might be another, but they're going to have to. They're going to need more than that. So we will have to see.
Nisha, do you have a stance on electoral reform? Because if this thing comes up as a result of this new independent grouping,
I'm not so familiar about that process, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our electoral system is a very poor one, and not many countries have it. First past the post is archaic, and I do agree that we should reform it eventually. In fact, I've wrote a lot of times on Twitter and in my blog actually on how we should reform our constitutional setup away from first past the post. I mean, I favour some sort of single transferable vote system, or maybe I would support AV if you have an AV referendum, but it's something that will come up, and yes, the risk is there of particularly VOPR, or a centrist-blocking Conservatives and Labour team up against each other. It's like Germany with the Social Democrats and the CDU.
Just feel like people's trust in politicians is already very, very low. You throw in more coalitions and people judge the Lib Dems on breaking their promises, you're going to have even more low confidence in politicians. I know compromise happens now. I accept that. But with coalitions, you're going to have to compromise on very key policies. Say, for example, I don't know, if the SNP and Labour had a coalition. Now, Labour's policy is to keep the nuclear deterrent. Of course, the SNP are against that, so there would have to be a compromise. The SNP would probably also want a second referendum. The Labour Party are a unionist party, so they would have to compromise on that. So it would be broken promises, and I don't think it would change that much. Yes, it would make votes fairer, but is that a risk to take? Because would it even mean more people voting? Probably not, because people will still be like, oh, I don't know what I'm voting for. And especially with electoral reform, like, oh, well, even if I vote for the Liberal Democrats or even if I vote for a third party, they're going to break their promises anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah. I do think people be politics breaking promises is inevitable, but I think I'm going to go over the side chat because we're getting quite a few comments here at the moment. So also with Angel, as she said, I'll be voting for them or the Liberal Democrats. Neither will stand against each other, but when I register in Twickenham, I'll obviously vote for Daddy Vince. Of course he would. And then Angel said, but no, you put a candidate will stand against him. Unless he retires.
Well, he could retire, you know. He is getting on a bit.
Yeah,
he's what, 55?
I did say he's going to stand down as leader of the Democrats. I quote him as when Brexit is resolved. Oliver Forster says the oil consensus is a donor money. Small stakeholders is not going to help that. Absolutely, completely true. And Angels then put, if in the Forks constituency, people haven't, I'll vote for a new party candidate if there's one. Of course, he will vote for the centrist. And then Jimbo Jones said, we are leaving the EU but drifting towards a more European nation. Like political dynamics. Possibly.
That is true because Jimbo's probably correct there. We are leaving the EU, but we are wanting to become more European in how they vote, in their social issues. The country's becoming more socially liberal. We want voting reform, but then we're leaving the EU. What have all of that? So it is interesting. You see, this is my issue. I don't want to bring it onto Brexit, and I don't want a Brexit debate. But this is my issue with Brexiteers: we want all the good stuff from the EU, like the voting reform, social liberalism, and things like that. But we don't want to remain in it. It's like you can't have your cake and you can't eat it. You know, we're not Boris Johnson around here. So it is interesting. I do agree with Jimbo there. We are leaving the EU, but we are becoming more like a European or West European country.
And Angels are part of Party One. I'm all for political changes, but I feel set up two teams, etc. and simply not cutting it. Then Angels tried to Party One again, which is why I want more representative system. And then she posted again. I've done with Team Blue and Team Red. Okay, boring crap. That's fully broken. Quite why them posting in the side chat, but the Liberals were the kingmakers. that could be true. That could be true, and could hold a little further to the count, and we're in the mid, which is what I'm worried about. And Patty White said they will be bribed by the right, and that's also very likely knowing the Democrats and their history. Angels then commented, "So what? The compromise is already happening. There's only one team or another." Patty White replied messages like they always do. John Keefe messaged the side chat. There's also a chance Extreme Pot is getting it, and that's true. If we had pure system 15 years ago, would have BNP MPs right now. Well, right, maybe not right now, but would have BNPs back then. Angel said all the left, it would depend. And then apparently, James, your mic is up your arse again.
I can confirm that my microphone is not up my arse. Now, Angel might be jealous of that, but I can confirm it is not. But yeah, I mean, a question to you two: how do you see this new independent group doing? Do you think they'll be quite popular? Just like any predictions would do. Like, do you see them doing well in some places? If there was an election held, do you see them doing well?
I don't think they will. I think they're just going to fail because people are actually aware that they're all plotting against Corbyn and going against the members, the public, because they're not respecting the result of the referendum either. So I think they'll be a very unpopular party. Now that's my opinion on it. Yeah.
I think there's probably two scenarios of this. The first one is that they will flop and the Remainers will join the Liberal Democrats. The second one is that they won't have much support, but they retain support and remain as some sort of minor party, more probably like the Greens right now. That's what I think it's going to happen. But I don't think they'd be that overly popular. Knowing the politicians are in it are nothing new. The same old politicians. Most of them voted for Iraq War. A lot of them voted for austerity measures. Most of them are new liberals. But Chuka Umunna, I've recently done a lot of research on Chuka. He's more inconsistent than I ever thought before. The fact that he was a supporter of Blue Labour just everything to me. And then Blue Labour must be a Eurosceptic organisation. I'm very sure it's conservative, but why would Chuka Umunna be associated with that party? What that grouping? When he's must be incredibly pro-EU? I think we've got a bunch of charlatans. There's also a lot of concerns we have. Now, what this independent group have done, they set up they basically registered the website in Panama so they can avoid tax. The independent group is registered as a private company so they can avoid electoral law. So they can also consider their backup funders. And that's why there's a lot of theories going about being funded by Israel going around because we don't know who's funding them. So at the sort of it, they're not very transparent and it's very shady.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes in the independent group.
Just for a bit of a laughter, the 3 Tory MPs who have resigned have called themselves the Three Amigos. Just now, they're currently doing a press conference, similar to what like the Labour 7 did. Basically saying Sarah Wilson has just said that the Prime Minister has failed to tackle the burning injustices within society. Heidi Allen has said this goes way further than Brexit and has attacked the government over its welfare reforms. So be interesting. Also, Election Maps UK on Twitter has said that the Conservative majority is only down to 6. So if 3 more Conservative MPs defect over, then they would have no majority whatsoever. Meaning, more than likely, an election would have to be called. Because obviously they couldn't survive without a majority. I mean, the majority they have now is wafer thin. But add that with no majority whatsoever, then it more or likely May would have to call an election.
Or May we have to compromise or something. This makes it very interesting. Could this actually be on the guns? If it does, I'll give it a little bit of praise for it. But there is rumours going around. A couple of others from the Conservatives leaving. Nick Bowles going around. I heard some suggestion Jo Johnson could, but I don't think it will. And so, it's possible, but I don't think it will happen. I can't see many more Conservatives actually leaving. Over the Nick
I
Bowles.
just had a realisation, right, about this independence party group thing, and I think it is a transitioning party now, because if the Tories are going to lose because they can't deliver the referendum result and the Remainers and all that, I think this is like a clean party to keep the Tories in power. So it'll be like the independent group. It's like a Tory powered party, because they can't get that delivered through the Labour Party. Do you see what I mean? That's how I see it right now. I think that's what they're trying to do.
I am worried about this actually being used to keep him in power. I mean, potentially, what could happen is that this group can go right. Theresa May, you lost the majority Parliament. We'll keep him because we don't like Corbyn for various reasons. What we offer you is a vote on the final deal. In that scenario, yes.
Yeah.
That could happen. Remember, the ALG can't touch May now because they did that no confidence motion back in December against May. So nothing's really stopping May from doing that, other than the current resignations.
Yeah, Cabinet wouldn't allow her to do it. So she's between a rock and a hard place with this. There are quite a few comments though in the side chat. I'll read a few out. This is to you, Nisha. Who are you? Didn't get the introduction. I don't think you introduced yourself. Probably best if you like. I think you know who me and Cameron are. I think it's your first time on here, so.
It is my first time on here.
Yeah, so it's probably best to introduce yourself and what like your political beliefs are.
Right, I'm Nisha and I'm a Labour Party member, and I'm fairly new to this group chat.
So are you on the? I'm guessing you're on the Corbyn.
Oh right, yeah, I'm a Corbyn supporter.
Remainer or Leaver?
Leaver. Because I respect the result of the referendum.
But did you vote in 2016? Did you vote to Remain or
I was undecided, so I couldn't vote on it because I didn't understand it very well. So instead of just guessing, I didn't understand much of it, so I just left it. So when I put a vote on anything, I have to believe in what I'm voting for. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother.
So I'm guessing you voted for Labour in 2017, though, at the last election.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I became a member as well at that time.
So what you're saying is that if there was a referendum, say tomorrow, you would vote to leave?
Yeah. Because it's all about democracy. I think it won't be democratic if we didn't respect the result of the referendum.
Yeah, I agree. We should leave the EU.
I think that remaining, and PV just makes it more complicated.
Yeah, I'm not for a people's vote. I don't think the majority of Remainers are as well. I think there's a vocal minority that want a people's vote. Also, the people who are advocating for a people's vote are quite toxic. So, again, I don't see it happening. So, I'm sure we will be leaving some. I don't think it might not be March, but I'm sure we will be leaving within this year. It might extend Article 50 due to them getting through the deal, but I do see us leaving.
Yeah, it just seems to me that it's leading to a no-deal scenario because nobody can get anything done. Nobody can agree with anything. And we're in, like, you know, mid-February now, and still they can't decide on anything. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any kind of deal. Maybe the last hour, you know, there'll be something.
I'm going to say, I think there will be something right at the last minute. They'll put it off right to the end. And whatever it is so last minute, knowing the composition of Parliament, because majority of the Parliament are Remainers, they'll probably accept it to avoid a no deal right at the end. I think I should go through the comments. I'm going up. Right, I'll start at Angels here. It's honestly too hard to tell, but they are putting quite high for a new party. Yeah, but I'm quite skeptical because it's not actually officially a new party. John Cooper typed in the chat. They say Corbyn and Mogg are the head of the respective parties, but imagine if they like the UKIP and militant game. Ori Foster says, "Who are you?" Lady in chat. I didn't get an introduction. I think we address this now. And I know, that's not very nice, is it? Say, I know the other two losers. John Cooper said, "I feel like they were popular at first and drop when people realised there's no change." I actually agree with that. Angel said, "I do think it's time is right for a new movement as a general rule. I think there are many people delusional and bored with the current party and the system overall, which works in their favour, even though these people offer nothing new, more the same." And Chuck Cunningham couldn't name one single party that he disagreed with everyone. They couldn't name it. There's nothing anything new. That's a lie. That's a bit of a lie. Ollie Foster. Well, Angels replied to Ollie Foster. "Yes, I was wondering the same." Who was new in the chat? We addressed that. Communist Carrot said, "Independent group is shit." It is. And John Cooper said, "That's really sad." Angels Happy Communist Carrot is in the chat. John Cooper said, "I feel like the main parties are going to be around like what 280 seats." That could very much happen if there's an election. And this comes with the idea that a party will be forced to be propped up by, I don't know, the independent group, the Dem Alliance and the SNP for some issues and such, voter reform, and maybe this new devolution in Scotland. And Cummins Carrot said, "My nan texted me saying the independent group is exactly what she wanted." Now that's interesting. John Cooper said that, "Honestly, I can never trust MPs after this." Well, the Pruitonian campaign is not trustworthy for the last couple of years. They're out for their own gain. To be honest, a lot of these people, and they come out and said this, Woodcock, for example, the Royal rather conservative government than a Labour government. What does that say about the centrist MPs? Ollie Foster says, "James, you're a good interviewer, man. You should do it more often."
Well, what can I say? Thank you for the compliment, Oliver. I'll just read what Anna Soubry has just said in the past few minutes. We haven't left the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party has left us. May, with her failing leadership, has failed to tackle the burning injustices within today's society. It is time for a third way and a time for an independent group. She's also called on the Liberal Democrats to join the independent group as well. So,
well, they were gonna say they were not gonna support join them, but they were the Democrats more likely. Especially when you don't have the Democrat MP to join them now, welcome the leader. So imagine Chuck Schumer leading Liberal Democrats in the future. John Cooper said if Article 50 extended the LGBT revolt, they will.
Well, yes and no. I think the ERG won't be happy, but if it's to just pass the laws, then I think they'll be okay with that. If it's to like renegotiate a new deal, then obviously not. But if it's just to pass like the laws through, which will take time because you have to debate them and things like that, then I think they'll be all right with that. To be fair.
Party White said yes. John, the fascist revolt. That's actually language for me, but yes, still we're not very happy. Angel said, "Who cares about the EJ revolt? She should have told him to fuck off a long time ago. She's in the minority going. She can't really do that. John Cooper said that to be clear on one of my early comments, everyone says Corbyn and Mark are far right and far left in parties. But what if PR happens? Imagine that to Tommy and Gary getting in Parliament. To be fair, if there's PR and if you keep getting 5% of the vote, like just in the polls, the 5% of the MPs actually UKIP, and if 5% MPs UKIP, they could pick Tommy Robinson, but I'm not Galway. I'm not sure about Gary. I don't think he will actually get in Parliament in the PR system because I don't think he will support a party unless he rejoins Labour. It was a dream that John, are you seriously putting Tom and Gary on the same level? Then John Cooper says, asking Lib Dems to join and talk about no change. It was a dream said how we fought 11 by-elections, or how we can. That's that. Or I think if you live in the constituency, it's a way to do it. I'm not entirely sure on that one. But yes, there should be by-elections if you resign for a party. Because you get elected on the platform. Most people in our system get elected on the party's ideas. You know, if you're an MP, you get elected by Labour. You get supported by the trade unions. You get momentum following you. You get Labour canvassers. You get Labour funding to fund your campaign. You're there because of Labour as well as because of yourself. So nowadays, yes, you should actually call a by-election when you resign the whip or leave the party. John Cooper said, personally, I prefer Guy over Tommy, but I feel the general public, like Mr. Fruian, so they're all the same. I think most people prefer Guy over Tommy. Jimbo Jones said a new party is not about party, but personality. That is largely true. It was a dream said fair point, John. Thanks for the clarification. Then Angels finally said that I was being told I would have told the EG to fuck off. And as for the fallout, whatever will be, and you don't get anywhere that came into bullets, no matter how much you use it. It will never be enough. Angels, say, would you say that to the blacks in Labour? And that's it for the comments in the side chat.
Yeah, what I would say to that is yes, May shouldn't do that, but it's easier saying that than done. May is in a minority government. She needs to have the support of all of her MPs to pass through the legislation. So she's going to have to appeal to the ERG. Now, yes, they're a minority, but they are a very big minority. And if she'd have just told them to, like Angel said, fuck off, then they'd have said, right, okay, then we'll fuck off and we'll go to a new party, meaning the government would have collapsed. So it's easier said than done that. You can't just tell 100 MPs in a minority government to do one. It just doesn't work. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, people say May should have asked for a cross-party consensus on Brexit, but how the heck are you going to get a cross-party consensus on Brexit when both of the main parties are fundamentally opposed to one another? Again, it's easier said than done. I remember having a debate saying, oh, we should have a cross-party consensus on the NHS. Well, how are you going to get a cross-party consensus on the NHS when both parties are fundamentally opposed on that key issue? It just doesn't work. Leave cross-party consensus to the select committees. Leave cross-party consensus to the freaking Westminster Hall debates, but don't bring it into the Houses of Parliament because it just doesn't work. And what it will do, it will bring in coalitions which will mean less distrust within politicians, and that's what politicians should be doing. They should be trying to reach out to the public and gaining their trust. Having cross-party talks won't do that.
I think, was it Arasuba that called for creation of a national government after the last election? I think it was. For some sort of cross-party consensus on Brexit. I think she argued for that. I'm not too sure.
Angel says the ERG is a minority and are calling the shots. They should be the ones with the least amount of influence. Well, they're an influence of 100 MPs. They control a third of the party. So, in a minority government, they are quite big. It's like 90 Blairites telling Corbyn what they should do. Yes, Corbyn might ignore them, but they are a vocal minority, and they should be listened to. I'm not saying that in fact, the ERG, yes, they are rebellious, but they aren't as rebellious as the Remainer Conservatives. I mean, we had Anna Soubry and others rebel nearly every Brexit vote. Oliver Foster says, creating a government of national unity is just a way of sweeping fraud under the carpet. I wouldn't say sweeping fraud under the carpet, but I think national unity should only be used for things like world wars or something. When was the last time we had a national unity government?
Between 1940 and 1944, this referred to the Churchill War Ministry between Labour, Conservatives, Liberals, National Liberal, National Labour, National Conservative.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a national unity government would be absolutely stupid because we're not in a world war, for crying out loud. Brexit is a world war. I mean, yeah, I'm expecting the Nazis to come and pick me up and drop me in the concentration camp anytime soon. And considering I'm in Germany, that could potentially happen.
What happened in Germany? It's a bit. Jeremy Corbyn would be doing that apparently.
Well, when Jeremy Corbyn becomes Prime Minister, Cam, I'll fuck off to Germany and stick in a bunker.
Oh no! I told you what I'm gonna do with you. You're gonna be in the gulag.
Whole gulag. Fuck's sake. What, commissioned by Chris Williamson, is it?
Yeah.
Oh dear. So yeah, Jesus. I mean, so a question to both of you two, as you're both Labour members. If you could just say pick 5 MPs who you'd like to see the back of in the next couple of weeks, who would it be and why? I'm guessing the obvious names are probably like Jess Phillips, but it would be interesting to see who you, if you could pick 5 to like leave, who would it be?
Definitely Jess Phillips. Yeah. Who else? I'm trying to think now. There's quite a few that wasn't going.
I don't remember their names. Jess Phillips is definitely one. The ones that are against Corbyn, basically.
Yeah.
I think.
And Andrea Eagle. She. Liz Kendall. Yvette Cooper.
Do you not like Yvette Cooper? You don't think she's a bit ballsy and like?
She can be. I'm not the biggest fan of her. She's basically one of the troublemakers in Labour. I mean, I've really what they actually do inside the party. And she's done a lot of work to undermine Corbyn. But I'm not the biggest fan. But there's one other name that I mentioned. That's John Mann. I can't stand him.
He's a local MP round your area.
Oh yeah, he's next door to me in Bassett Law. Yeah.
Would you say he's popular?
Momentum are trying to deselect him at the moment. They're trying to get him out. I don't think it's that popular. With John Mann, even though he completely despises Corbyn what he stands for, because he's a bit Exeter, he's never going to defect. So I think he'll be a little. So yeah, I think he's in Labour.
Yeah, no. If I could pick 5 MPs from my side who I think should leave, it would probably be Christopher Chope, who is the freaking sex pest, upskirting fellow. Philip Davies, Amber Rudd. Amber Rudd's probably quite centrist, but I can't stand the woman. Steve Baker and probably Boris. But even though I disagree with Boris, I think he's important to have within the party. Because I feel, yes, he's unpopular, but he is popular to some people. I think he is needed within and around the party. But yeah, that's probably 5 off the top of my head right now. Sorry, to replace Boris, I'd keep Boris and probably somebody like Bill Cash or something who is an absolute loon. Like, he is stuck in the 1950s. Like, no problem. Like, every time he asks the Prime Minister questions, he just asks questions about literally that nobody cares about. Does anybody give 2 shits about European tax havens or freaking European tax to big corporations? Not really. But yeah, so he'll be one. Steve Baker, Philip Davies, Christopher Chope, and Amber Rudd. But yeah. Jimbo says the Tory party are not a party of big business, but party of big business. Not particular on SMEs, in my opinion. John Cooper says Yvette Cooper isn't as bad as some of the others, but I don't trust her. Now you see, I'm no Labour fan, but I don't mind Yvette Cooper, and I think she'd be a decent leader. Thingy says, I wish Tony Blair would leave.
Oh yeah, how could we forget Tony Blair?
But But Tony Blair's, I took an MP, but Tony Blair's not currently MP. But yeah, trying to even though people say
fan of the Labour left, isn't it?
no,
I don't think the Labour left isn't a massive fan of it.
because what it did win 3 elections as a thought, as a leader of the party. So, but the grounds they were kicked out on is actually on his record with Devakwa. That's the grounds where he should be kicked out on. From what I was concerned, anyone who voted for that war should be really have massive questions about the integrity as a Labour MP at this point. And this is why I look at the people. Every MP that was joined the independent group, who was an MP during or in 2003, voted for the Iraq War. So anyone who votes for that party
supports the Iraq War.
Yeah, just remember, anyone who votes for that party is voted for a group of MPs who voted to kill over 1 million people. Is that new politics? Or it's a good question, because a lot of people for Iraq War also thought against investigation and voted for more for intervention. No, Suba, she voted to bomb Libya. Then again, a lot of Labour MPs did also vote for the bombers of Libya, and look at the mess there. And this is why there's massive foreign policy mistake that led to the rise of terrorist groups. Islamic State is the most renowned one. You shouldn't say calling it a terrorist sympathizer when your actions are directly led to the rise of mass murder cults, which is Islamic State. Islamic State now is actually thriving in Libya. It's Iraq or Afghanistan, or what was another one that, and Syria. In Libya, right? I see the foreign invention there. There's open slave markets. There's 4 different individuals claiming to be prime ministers at this point. At one point it was 7, and now it's 4. And most of the migrants coming into Europe, right, are coming through these areas as Libya. It's not Syria now. Actually, a lot of people actually moving back into Syria as the civil war is actually coming down. Libya, hundreds of people have died crossing the Mediterranean. And particularly Italy now in the European Union. Italy and the EU are actually blocking a lot of these people coming in. And it's something that people need to be more aware of. A lot of people are simply just dying, just drowning on rubber dingers. So, no, I don't think we should share anything beyond respect for these people. If they actually come out, I say I was wrong, I apologize for it, then I'll give some time for it. I mean, I know Chris Williamson actually did that, even though he did vote for bombing in Syria. He did come out and apologize for it. But he's the only one that did. So, this is why I have no time for any of these politicians in groups like independent group. They have no principle, have no integrity. If anyone's voting for them, no, you voted for nothing that's changed. Or I don't know, back to the Blair years, should I say. Anyway, right. I'll be back in 1 minute, so you can talk about yourself for a minute. I'll relax it.
Okay.
So, how do you see, Nisha, the future of your party going? Do you see it going further to the left, and do you think that would?
See, I'm not familiar with politics in that way. What's left and right?
So do you see it going more Corbynite instead of Blairite?
I think there is more support for Corbyn up and down the nation because he reaches out to the people. He doesn't use the media to gain support, for votes and stuff. So he just reaches out to the people, and they're very connected with them. So wherever he goes, there's like a massive surge of people that actually support him, and they don't like put that on the media, but you find out through social media, you know, how popular he really is. So and he does say the right things as well, like what they like to hear. I actually believe him, really, that he can deliver that, you know, these promises.
So, what made you, like, obviously you said you didn't vote in 2016 referendum wise. So what made you vote for Corbyn and Labour's Corbyn in 2017? Was it the policies or was it just him himself?
I wasn't sure about him in the beginning. I just thought he's a bit too soft. He doesn't look like a leader, so I wasn't convinced initially. But then, you know, I started to feel sorry for him, really, because he was getting so much abuse at some rally. I think it was Gay Pride or something, and he was getting so much abuse that I actually started to feel sorry for him. And then I thought, let me just look into him a bit more and see. And then as I started to like listen to him and understand like what he's trying to channel out to the public, you know, I got more engaged with what he has to say, because it's stuff that I like, you know, I actually like to hear from a politician, because we always longed for a politician that understands our needs and things. And here comes Jeremy Corbyn, and suddenly nobody wants him, and I don't quite understand that, you know. So one minute, like, there's, you know, they're all bad, you know, there's no such thing as a good politician, and then one does come along and it's like, we're bashing him. Well, I'm not bashing him, but they bash him about. Do you know what I mean? I just think, you know, I think he's good. I mean, he's a kind of guy, like a politician that will come to your house, you know, for a cup of tea. You know, he has time for people, and he talks about the people all the time. You know, I like what he proposes. You know, building more social housing, and you know, funding public services where they're needed. He's doing all the right things, you know. That's how I see it. I do believe that he can, under a Labour government, they can, like, they say, like, well, where's the money going to come from? But how I understand it, the government monetary system can actually support all the funding that the government needs. But it's been denied by the Tory government, because they're only like splashing the money out to the rich and not to the poor, or where it's needed.
So obviously you're a Corbyn fan. Is there anybody else in the Labour Party that you are supportive of? I'm guessing people like John
I do like Chris Williamson, you know, because like there's not enough politicians that have, you know, they do have strong voices, but they're not being, you know, they're not supporting our leader, you know. So with all the abuse that he's getting from the media, there's no one speaking up for him, and that kind of, you know, makes me feel a bit sad about, you know, the Labour Party. I think there should be more support for him. But Chris Williamson is, you know, he's very vocal, and he supports him. Who else? Angela Rayner, she's really good. She supports Corbyn, but there's not enough of them. There should be more.
What about you, Cameron?
So I just got back. So what were we discussing?
I asked, basically, saying, basically, you obviously you voted Leave in 2016. What made you then vote for Corbyn? And also, obviously, when Corbyn does leave, whenever that is, who would you like to see to replace him?
What we vote for Corbyn is the right party platform, domestic agenda and foreign policy. It basically undermined what's a narrative for a very long time in this country. There was a lack of account in government, in opposition, in the media. A lot of actions of the British government. Britain's role in basically funding the insurgency in Mali, for example, which actually hurt a couple of years ago, or in actually Yemen today, or even to that, or actually the war of the Western Sudan, which nobody talks about. There's lots of these instances. We need to look at the state of the world, the state of our future projections of our society. I think Corbyn offers a better hope to change things. Look at things like climate change, look at poverty, look at war, look at the amount of disparity between people on the world. I think we need a new style of politics to solve these issues. And I think Corbyn is the right step in direction from that.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
And in terms of leading Labour, I'm not sure. People who potentially replace Corbyn, I don't think they do drastically better. Or I think a lot of people would actually do worse. Earlier I mentioned Pidcock, probably someone like that. Maybe Clive Lewis, but there are people that can successfully succeed Corbyn. And Chris Wilson there, I hear a couple of times, but if he became leader, yes, I'll still vote Labour and support him. But I don't think he's my first choice because he's already too controversial with some of the things he's done in the past. I'm not too sure about that. So I will say Lord Pidcock is the ideal future leader of Labour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Laura Pidcock seems to be quite popular with the Corbyn fans of the Labour Party. So I think she's a bit too young now. I think she'll probably need a few more years of experience. But people are crying out for younger politicians to get involved. So who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
If only Dennis Skinner was younger, I was shouting Skinner.
Dennis Skinner. I think he's a bit too old. I mean, he's nearly 85 now, I think.
Yeah, he is. But he would make a spectacular leader of Labour if he was younger.
I don't think, to be quite honest, if like Corbyn does like stand down as leader, I would definitely cancel my membership because that's the whole reason why I actually joined Labour, because of Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah, he's just someone fresh, someone new. That he's a different type of politician. He's like the people's politician, you know.
Well, yeah, the thing about one of the best things about Corbyn that is very good in interacting with the public, but not in media or in Parliament. That way, it's bad. But the best that is one of his best traits. And yes, I also joined for Corbyn. But I think Corbyn will step down after. I think he'd be like a once-term prime minister if he actually becomes prime minister. It will stay there for the full 5 years and probably step down. That's the idea I'm getting from Corbyn. But I could be wrong. It could be it could be prime minister for a lot longer than I think he will be. But when Corbyn becomes leader and if he becomes prime minister, one thing he will do. That's why if he doesn't become prime minister, I'd be less worried about someone like Farmer becoming leader because it will set up a new economic consensus that Attlee did. And that lasted for decades. The Conservatives actually embraced much of the post-war consensus added by Attlee. Ironically, particularly in the 1950s. Yeah.
Anyway, I do have to go, so I don't know if you want to finish this up.
Yeah. I think we'll finish this shortly. But there's one more thing I wanted to go at. Because so-called modern MPs are joining from both parties. Would this put both Labour and the Conservatives will force them to the left and the right? Because in October, I speculated was more happened to the report. I speculated Labour will move to the left and will represent the party that Tony Benn envisioned. In the Conservatives will move towards the right to perhaps kind of a reformed Thatcherite party. Then the New Centrist Party will pull from each of the moderates, including from the Liberal Democrats, and this is interesting. I think the Dems will, because of the New Centrist Party, will focus less on Europe, less on things like austerity, but on liberal issues. And it will become a bit more like the old Liberal Party. That's my prediction. What this will conclude the party if the Centrist Party actually takes off in the short term. And this would be after Brexit as well. I'm not sure everyone's thoughts on that, but I'd like to hear if you think something like that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is, I do see both main parties going further to the left and right, which is not ideal for somebody like me, but I guess that's up to how the party members feel. And obviously, MPs who are on the centre ground might not feel comfortable within their own parties and could potentially join this new group, especially if the Labour Party goes further to the left. You've got a lot of MPs who are on the moderate wing who might think, right, enough is enough. We've given it one chance. We can't give it any further. I don't think the public is wanting both main parties to go further to the left and right, but obviously party membership is different to the country as a whole, so we'll have to wait and see, I guess. It's all speculation at the moment, so. But yeah, I do see more MPs leaving because both main parties are seemingly going to the left and right, which saddens me because I do believe the centre ground and the centre right and centre left can come together when needed. Like tribal politics of the left and right is outdated and it does need to change, but then the centre ground also needs to change as well. So yeah, that was my 2 pennies worth on it.
But is there anything else to say before we wrap the stream up?
That's everything from me. I don't know about Nisha if she has any other comments.
No.
Alright, I think we should wrap it up there. I thought I'd do the stream because I haven't done many streams in ages. I think I'm gonna start doing them again. I'll thinking what should do with this channel in the future. Also, next week I'll be doing a stream in the Boko Haram conflict, which is in Nigeria. Sometime next week probably. But I will be busy for the next few days, so I might delay that. So I'm gonna say thank you everyone for James and Nisha for joining me today. And also thank you everybody in the side chat who watched the stream and gave us quite interesting, insightful comments. So I say thank you today and see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.